Tom that they need to be fighting for the undisputed title. The White House, it's special. Tom is out. Let's get Pierre versus Surreal and let's do it for the belt. Well, I think we're close on that. I just think it's the interim belt. And there was some discussion going around that Tom had been asked to vacate the title. The way the story goes is that the UFC asked Tom vacate the title. You do it. It's a PR thing, right? I mean, it's our belt. We take it back whenever we want, but that's not what we want to do.
Okay, we need to talk about the clock bleeding out on Alex Pereira's reign, the intoxicating, razor-edge gamble tightening around him. Everyone's whispering about a colossal leap to heavyweight. You can almost see Dana White salivating at the vision of Poatan headlining a monstrous Oval Office megacard, hunting an undisputed crown. A truly seismic moment. But then there's Tom Aspinall, calculating, patient, dangerous. He flatly refuses to just hand over his interim championship. And this isn't about a shiny trinket. This is about control, about legacy, about the raw balance of power inside the UFC itself. Aspinall's resistance isn't some casual flash of pride. It's a cold, deliberate chess move engineered to corner Pereira, either cement him as the undeniable king or expose the frightening risk behind that audacious heavyweight roll of the dice. Because if Pereira jumps, there's no gentle landing, there's only collision, and Aspinall knows it. He understands that hesitation shifts empires, that timing fractures dynasties. One signature, one announcement, and the entire division tilts. Let me be clear, there is nothing straightforward about this silent war unfolding beyond the spotlight. Every stare is loaded, every word is measured, every delay means something. Inside that cage, strategy becomes violence, and ambition turns feral. The consequences, as always in this unforgiving sport, aren't just dramatic, they're irreversible. And when the dust finally settles, someone's vision of greatness will be shattered in an instant.
Release me. I'll vacate if you release me. I like your idea. I hear everything you're saying. We can have a discussion about re-signing and coming back in and getting my belt, but it'll keep my options open. If you want me to do this, here's what I want. Now, first off, that doesn't seem like something Tom would say, but this is the way the story goes. And if Tom did say that, respect, because he's standing up for himself. And Tom has the right to stand up for himself because people do have a very short-term memory on how Tom got to where Tom got. I think they forget that he tore his knee against Curtis Blades. Has to fall down and...
Will he really just meekly hand over his hard-earned belt so Alex Pereira can sprint towards some White House supercard fantasy? Come on, that narrative collapses the second you examine it. That interim championship is not a placeholder, not a decorative prop waiting to be reclaimed. It is Aspinall's ultimate leverage, his sharpest blade in a room full of power brokers, the one asset that forces Dana White and the UFC's sprawling ambitions to deal with him on his terms. And don't forget, Aspinall remembers the brutal, spirit-draining cost of injury that exiled him from momentum and nearly erased his surge. He clawed back from that darkness. He is not here to play supporting character. This is a high-stakes standoff where every pause, every statement, every refusal sends shockwaves. Meanwhile, for Pereira, vacating his light heavyweight throne would mean torching a dominant, celebrated reign for what amounts to a volatile, all-or-nothing gamble at heavyweight. There are no guarantees waiting upstairs, only monsters and momentum killers. One miscalculation in the empire he built dissolves overnight. So no, this isn't some easy transactional decision whispered behind closed doors. It's a pressure chamber tightening by the hour. Pride, timing, leverage, legacy, everything is on the table. And when the noise finally fades and the dust begins to settle, the real cost of this power play will come due.
Never even got outside the first. Got his confidence back, got his momentum back, started to build some steam. I mean, all the stuff he did, he's on a trajectory, he agrees to John Jones, he doesn't hold anybody up for money, he doesn't hold anybody up for time. I mean, he's doing anything that he can do. And frankly, he did everything right. He was a massive team player. He was a massive star. I think you might forget how he captured the interim title in the first place. I think that you might forget about the fight against Sergey Pavlich, where Tom was in England. They put this thing together so fast that Tom's wife couldn't even come and join him. And this is a moment, Madison Square Garden, this is a moment for the family, for the sacrifice of the family.
Right now, Pereira's pursuit of that massive heavyweight showdown zeroed in on the coveted White House spectacle looks, on the surface, like a simple mission to expand his legend and flood Dana White's vaults with cash. But if you're Tom Aspinall, armed with a fight IQ that slices through hype like a blade, you see something else entirely. You see angles, you see leverage, you see the cracks forming beneath what many expect to become a seamless Powhatan myth. Pereira's pressure isn't just about surviving another brutal light heavyweight cut anymore. It has morphed into psychological warfare, sparked by an interim champion who refuses to play background noise. Aspinall isn't politely raising doubts, he's forcing a reckoning. If Pereira truly wants to ascend, he may have to surrender the throne that made him untouchable, and that is no minor concession. That is exposure, that is risk. Yet Aspinall, relentless and calculating, refuses to allow an effortless coronation. He stands planted in the doorway, daring the move, daring the gamble. Every public word becomes a probe. Every delay becomes tension. So what does this escalating collision mean for Powhatan's aura, for the legacy he's racing to immortalize? Because legacies aren't just built on daring leaps, they're judged by the fallout. And this single decision, heavy with pride and peril, could either elevate Pereira into rare air or fracture the very foundation of his reign. That looming question now hangs in the atmosphere, charged and dangerous.
Now, I know that Tom wants to box, and that's where you can overplay your hand. There is no boxing out there for Tom. There's no boxing out there for any of them. And boxing also is not what they think. It is not just this huge payday, and it's none of these things that they think that it is. And you do have those outlier stories. You do have a McGregor versus Mayweather, but McGregor versus Mayweather didn't happen because McGregor stood up to the UFC. McGregor versus Mayweather happened and was a success because the greatest carnival barker of all time.
Let me ask you something crucial. Do you honestly believe Alex Powhatan Pereira is eager to just walk away from the light heavyweight crown he bled to capture? Absolutely not. This isn't some casual fork-in-the-road decision. It's the ruthless, unbending calculus of a true champion, tangled in Dana White's sweeping master blueprint for the sport. That looming heavyweight jump, especially when tied to a colossal White House showcase, isn't just another fight announcement. It's the kind of sky-high, do-or-die gamble that doesn't simply tweak a resume. It rewrites history, and don't think for a second Tom Aspinall will simply wave him through without a savage confrontation. The boxing talk, the public callouts, strip away the noise and you'll see the misdirection. That's smoke, that's theater. Aspinall understands the gravity better than anyone breathing. His interim heavyweight belt has unexpectedly transformed into razor-sharp leverage in this layered, high-stakes power struggle. Pereira moving up isn't just about adding pounds to the scale. It may be about sidestepping the psychological crossfire Aspinall keeps igniting, because Aspinall isn't merely hunting gold, he's hunting exposure. He wants to drag you into deep water, dissect you, dismantle you. So sit with this for a moment. Does Pereira gamble his light heavyweight dominance chasing what looks like destiny? Or is he being maneuvered step by calculated step toward a collision that could detonate everything he's built?
I wanted to take a gamble on it. I mean, I'm only sharing for you. They're now partners with the UFC. That opportunity's not there. And I don't want to rain on Tom at all. I'm just sharing, if you can box and you can do MMA, it's the same commissions, it's the same process, just by example. And the opportunity would be in MMA. There is no world title opportunity in boxing. There's also no big paycheck in boxing. This is fiction. But Tom would have those options open, and if that's important.
Look at Pereira's team, they understand the merciless truth. The repeated light heavyweight cut has been savage, draining, a slow grind carving pieces off him each camp. Letting go of that 205-pound throne to surge toward heavyweight, especially for a glittering White House mega payday, isn't just a bold career pivot. It's a calculated retreat from a suffocating battlefield, a strategic roll of the dice to sidestep the tightening vice and the very real landmines waiting in his current division. But here's the reality the UFC brass can't brush aside. You don't exit a weight class cleanly when Tom Aspinall is planted in the doorway. He isn't just another ranked name. He's a legitimate, glaring stylistic nightmare for almost anyone breathing. A problem so obvious, so dangerous, that not even Dana White's promotional engine can blur him out of the frame. Tom knows the leverage he's holding, raw and undeniable, and that awareness complicates everything. Pereira's possible escape route isn't smooth. It's tangled. It's watched. And ask yourself honestly, after torturing his body to make 205, does Pereira truly crave stepping into the blast radius of Aspinall's explosive power and ruthless speed? This isn't only about collecting belts anymore. It's about safeguarding a legacy, about the cold intelligence required to avoid a loss that could fracture everything, and about recognizing who actually controls the balance of power in this unforgiving, predatory game.
It'd be a little out of line for the way that Tom would normally operate. So keep that thought and do what you would like with it. But now let's take a look at Alex Pereira, because if Pereira is going to go to if he is going to go to heavyweight, then he needs to be a heavyweight. I don't think that Pierre would disagree with me. I don't think that Pierre would have any problem giving the 205-pound...
Pay close attention now, because the whispers and the blunt, behind-closed-doors conversations about Alex Pereira surrendering his light heavyweight title to storm into heavyweight are no longer rumors. They feel like inevitability. This isn't a casual option floating in the air. It's a cold, calculated maneuver taking shape. And make no mistake, Tom Aspinall isn't standing by politely awaiting a courtesy call. He's applying suffocating, deliberate psychological pressure, openly demanding his crack at the undisputed crown and cornering Pereira into a decision. This has drifted far beyond brutal weight cuts, though those grueling drains still haunt the equation. What we're witnessing is a massive collision of forces: Dana White's sweeping promotional vision, the magnetic pull of a White House mega spectacle, and the insatiable pay-per-view machine that never stops roaring. Pereira's battle IQ, razor-sharp and historically reliable, seems to be nudging him toward abandoning the very light heavyweight legacy he forged with violence and precision, all in pursuit of a thunderous heavyweight windfall. But pause and really think about that. What does such a leap reveal about a champion's resolve? Is it ambition at its purest, or a strategic escape from a tightening vice? Championships don't just crown fighters, they compress them. They amplify every doubt, magnify every risk, and transform every choice into a referendum on greatness. And when that pressure peaks, when expectation and opportunity collide, the burden becomes almost unbearable, crushing, reshaping, and ultimately defining whoever dares to carry it.
Working with the company, he goes into business for himself, he gives the belt back. This wasn't greatly perceived, but it's John, and there's a little room here, and then he sat for 3 years. For 3 years, he stayed out trying to gain the size to be heavyweight. Very humble thing for John to do, because frankly, John could have stepped in and won that heavyweight belt with no time off, but I'm just telling the story the way that it happened. So if Pierre is to do the exact same thing, I'm the light heavyweight champ, I want to pursue the heavyweight championship. Hey, by the way, I don't need any time. Let's go. I can fight light heavyweight on this date, or I can fight heavyweight. Either way, let's go. Gangster move. Very in line with what Alex Pereira does.
We've talked about Alex Pereira possibly giving up his light heavyweight crown to charge into heavyweight. At first glance you might think that's fearless. That's the mark of a daring champion. But the narrative shifts the moment Tom Aspinall steps fully into the frame, turning what sounded like a confident proclamation into a tightening dilemma. The responsibility on Poatan to defend the belt he fought so violently to claim isn't just significant, it's suffocating, especially with a truly dangerous stylistic threat lurking in his own division. It forces an uncomfortable question: is this leap upward ambition, or is it an exit from a uniquely hazardous matchup? Everyone understands Dana White's appetite for spectacle and staggering revenue. A White House megacard, a new division, another title, those are golden headlines. But imagine the optics of a reigning champion vacating his post while Aspinall, a credible and relentless challenger, is publicly demanding his shot. That's not just business, that's political tension inside the UFC machine, a storyline headache that refuses to disappear. So you have to scrutinize Pereira's famed fight IQ. Is it steering him toward greatness, or subtly guiding him away from a perilous collision with Aspinall? Ask yourself, honestly and without romance, what is the real cost of chasing a second throne when the first still stands undefended? Because that question cuts deeper than hype or paydays. It slices straight into the core of championship identity, into what it truly means to hold power, to accept risk, and to prove you deserve the crown you carry.
I don't think that we're looking at quite right. I don't think it's bad if they fight for the interim championship at all. At all. I think that's great. I do think if Pereira and Surreal fight, there's got to be a belt. It needs to be scheduled for a potential 5-round. Pereira is the champion of the world. If the champion of the world fights, a championship of the world's got to be on the line. That can be the interim. But as opposed to the idea that, hey, it's got to be Tom's belt. Nothing personal, Tom. We got to move on, and it's got to be for the undisputed championship. No, I don't agree with that. But I would agree that of that scenario, the one that does have to be stripped or to vacate the belt would be Pereira. And I don't think that Pierre would...
Let's confront the harsh, uncomfortable reality. Alex Pereira's light heavyweight chapter feels less like a reign and more like a ticking clock. That notoriously punishing weight cut isn't sustainable forever. It's etched into his stare, carved across his frame. The drain is visible, so surrendering that belt would be far more complex than simply yielding ground to Tom Aspinall's swelling case as the rightful next threat. It would signal a calculated retreat, a deliberate repositioning towards something far larger. We're talking about an all-out heavyweight collision, the kind that rattles divisions. And Dana White isn't daydreaming about routine defenses, he's sensing the electric pull of a history-making White House mega spectacle, a legacy-stamping blockbuster. But beneath the bright lights, a psychological duel is intensifying. Can Pereira step away from 205 without it resembling escape? Because Aspinall's camp is already shaping the narrative, framing any departure as avoidance rather than evolution. The unspoken motive behind a heavyweight ascent may not be pure ambition alone. It may be liberation from a grueling, spirit-draining division his body increasingly rebels against, while simultaneously chasing immortality as a definitive two-division king. That tension is where everything sharpens. This is the crucible where championship pressure either collapses even the fiercest competitor under its immense weight or reforges him, under maximum heat, into something indestructible. In moments like these, legacies aren't gently written, they're violently decided.
In the least. Let those guys get on with it. If it doesn't work out at heavyweight and I want to go back here, I'll come in, and whoever's champion, I'll see you. I mean, in the words of Israel Adesanya, you deal.
Here it is. Aspinall, cold intent carved into every word, making decisions rooted in the blunt reality of his own frame, demanding heavyweight destiny, aimed squarely at the colossal White House stage and the promise of absolute supremacy. Yet as Pereira eyes ascension, Aspinall rises like the very warning Israel Adesanya once voiced, an almost insurmountable barrier planted directly in Poatin's path. This isn't some routine career adjustment. It's a desperate, high-stakes wager with legacy hanging in the balance. Nudged, if not outright steered, by the UFC's grand machinery, Pereira may indeed battle giants, but only after his own body has already fought a private war just to reach the cage, and that reality leaves him exposed. So when the spectacle fades, ask yourself, what are we truly witnessing? Beyond glittering belts and thunderous promotion, this is the ruthless mathematics of dominance unfolding in real time. Tom Aspinall isn't merely chasing gold, he's pressuring the entire heavyweight order, and even the UFC itself, to bend toward his resolve. His presence alone is psychological warfare, pushing a titan like Pereira toward decisions that could fracture or immortalize him, exposing the razor-thin line between legacy, ambition, and the inescapable limits of flesh. This transcends punching power. It's about the intelligence to navigate your own harsh truth, knowing when to retreat strategically, when to gamble everything on one violent roll, and when to stare down the beast without blinking. Dana White may orchestrate outcomes, but forces like Aspinall are storms, unstoppable, reshaping everything in their wake. And that is the lesson within this unfolding drama. In sport and in life, there will always be an Aspinall demanding your peak, probing your weakness, forcing your move. The only question is whether you break beneath the weight.